I have some very important information to share with everyone on. And now I will begin my what I want to share with everyone, which is the inside story of what has happened. Many people asking us what has happened. Now, I have it from informed sources that Trump preempted the MEA statement. Trump's statement was supposed to follow the MEA statement. But for some reason, Trump preempted the MEA statement. The Indian government statement was supposed to be the first statement. And now I will narrate exactly what happened since yesterday, if I have the points on the inside story, which are on with us right now. While putting this inside story details, I would like to say that there are some things I am not sharing. I am sharing what I can in national interest, but I'm not sharing everything as of this minute. But this is broadly the picture of what happened yesterday, viewers. You see, yesterday we carried out some very major cruise missile strikes on Pakistan. The pictures are on your screen. These are the drone attacks of yesterday. So, can I have the guests on also as I do this? Thank you. So, viewers, what happened is that yesterday we carried out very strong cruise missile attacks on Pakistan. Two of these particularly, especially the one in Chaklala. Now, they really destroyed Pakistan's immediate air defense capability. Can I have the guests on, please? Directors, thank you. I'm going to start from the beginning because I want to note their reactions to what I'm speaking, and I'll get them in when required. And that is the reason I'm asking my production team to put them on air. Thank you so much. You see, viewers, I'll go from the start. Yesterday, we struck Pakistan very hard. And particularly, I don't know what kind of cruise missiles these are. Some say these are the BrahMos missiles we used. I don't have an official confirmation, so I'm not in the business of speculation. But they were cruise missile strikes which were carried out by India, a very hard strike. And the strike in Chaklala in Rawalpindi destroyed the Pakistani air capability in a major way. Pakistan was very worried. It realized that we are fundamentally altering the complete strategic dynamics of the region with these airstrikes, and that Pakistan was 24 hours away from having its strategic installations bombed. And strategic installations can include nuclear installations, can include all their command structures, can include their avionics centers. So at that point of time, worried about a bigger strike by India, Pakistan work the hotlines and the backlines and all the kind of lines to go to the Americans and tell them that you have to stop India from going any further from here. And obviously, Pakistan, fell on all fours, and they basically agreed on any terms that the Americans would put to them. I am not sure what are the terms, but I am told there are clear terms that they have agreed to with the Americans. And after that, the Americans told the Pakistanis that it is for you to take the first step. And when the Pakistanis asked what that first step would be, the Americans told the Pakistanis that it is for you to start working on establishing the first line of contact. And the first line of contact was not from the Indian side, was not from the American side. The first line of contact was established at that point of time by General Kashif Abdullah, who is the DGMO of Pakistan, who at 3:35 yesterday called General Ghai. India's DGMO is Lieutenant General Ghai. He called General Ghai, and that call lasted about 5 minutes. When that call was a basic call to say essentially, and I'm not putting in as many words, I know the Pakistanis don't like me, but the fact is the Pakistanis said in that phone call that we are laying down our arms if you want. But we want a ceasefire. I am not clear whether because at a military level you can't discuss conditions, but there was a communication at this point of time between the Indian DGMO and, please sir, please come in sir. Please can you guide my guest in? The Indian DGMO and the Pakistani DGMO that you please have the contact established. And after the contact was established, the Americans were called back by the Pakistanis that we have done your bidding, we have contacted the Indians. Then the Indian side and the Americans, we spoke. And then there was a nature of communication which was agreed to. And that is where that seems to have become some kind of a fundamental flaw. Because what I understand is that after the DGMO call was made at 3:35, India agreed to the ceasefire. It was informally communicated to the Pakistanis, but it was agreed that the MEA will release a statement. Now, the MEA was to release a statement that was to be followed by a statement by Donald Trump, and that was to be followed by political statements by leaders of both countries. Here's where the story changes out here. The Americans issued the statement and the trigger-happy Pakistanis. First of all, it was Donald Trump who was trigger-happy. I don't know whether there was an agreement between him and the Indian side on who would release the statement first, but realizing that he needs two foreign policy successes in one day, one with Putin declaring a ceasefire and with India declaring a ceasefire, then Trump would have been seen to be the global arbiter of peace, a crown he desperately wants to wear. Maybe it is at that point of time Putin and the Russians started playing hard, and as you know, if you read the news, Putin has delayed his announcement and agreement of the ceasefire to possibly saying that I will work very hard on the conditions to be attached. I'm willing to work directly, but here that announcement, I'm told, has been put off till Monday. By this time, White House was nervous. They needed a foreign policy success, and that is when a trigger-happy Donald Trump went and made the announcement at 5:30 yesterday, spoiling India's plans. India was to release a statement. Donald Trump was to follow, and then political leaders are allowed to make their own statements. If that had been the case, then the reality, which is the reality which needs to come out right now, that Pakistan surrendered to India's terms, and India was to make the announcement, and then after India was to make the announcement, after India was to make the announcement, the rest was to follow. Anyway, after that, when the foreign minister of Pakistan issued his statement, and his name is Mr. Dar, it was another unexpected twist in this, because his statement caved in to the Americans, and they were so excited. They were so excited about the possibility of a ceasefire that the only credit in that tweet was given to the Americans, and that really made the Chinese extremely furious. Extremely furious. And the Chinese called the Pakistanis and said that you are clearly linking on to one side. So if you see, there are two statements from China yesterday. And I said clearly that the first statement is a pre-ceasefire announcement statement. The second is a post-ceasefire announcement statement. There was a statement from Pakistan from China committing itself to the territorial integrity of Pakistan. That was meant to strengthen Pakistan's hand. However, Ishaq Dar, being a bit of a debutant in global politics, went and made the statement praising the Americans so much, and I have it on word, this is the real account of what has happened, praising the Americans so much that the Chinese were furious. There were calls made expressing China's displeasure at the tone and tonality of the nature of the announcement, at the fact that China was not given any credit, at the fact that China was kept out of the theater of diplomacy. And the Chinese put pressure then on the Pakistanis that how did you go ahead and make this announcement without consulting us, without discussing the nature of the announcement that you would make and our inclusion in that situation. Ladies and gentlemen, today, as of today, what I'm saying tonight is this is not the time to do politics over what has happened yesterday. I wish these channels, instead of doing politics, were to put out the real account of what happened, which I have from the horse's mouth here. Now, the Chinese were furious, and the Chinese were furious at the American tilt in the Pakistan foreign minister's tweet. After that, you would see there is desperate ceasefire violations which begin to happen. And if you turn the clock back, nobody expected ceasefire violations. Neither did the Indians expect, and neither initially maybe the Pakistanis wanted to do. I am suggesting here that after China called Shehbaz Sharif and expressed displeasure at the tone of the Pakistan foreign minister's tweet, the pre-recorded statement which was expected to be announced from Shehbaz Sharif around 8 o'clock Pakistan time was delayed. And then there were massive ceasefire violations which start around 6:45 and continue right up to about 10 o'clock, 10:15, and we were live at that point of time. The question to be asked is is there a link between the call from China and the ceasefire violations? Is there a link between the call from China, which I'm absolutely sure there was, I've spoken to several of my contacts, and the ceasefire violations, and there's speculation in India's informed strategic affairs circles, that there was a link between the ceasefire violations and China's call. Now, after that, of course, we worked the hotlines, and we are fully aware that Ajit Doval also spoke to Wang Yi, and both sides issued statements. There were statements made by both sides yesterday, and there was a fresh attempt at the DGMO level to say that can we restart an attempt at the ceasefire. And yesterday after that, it was agreed that let us make a fresh start to the ceasefire. Let's forget what happened between 6:30 and 10:30, and a fresh attempt at the ceasefire was started around 10:30 p.m. to maintain the ceasefire. As of now, that fragile ceasefire holds between India and Pakistan. And since we are in the world of global power play, we must never assume that what happens here is a purely bilateral situation. Kashmir is a bilateral issue, but the handling of these issues is not bilateral. And therefore, we have to see in context. Now we can go back and see at the statements of the European leaders expressing their displeasure at Putin's delaying of the much anticipated ceasefire announcement. And if you see the series of statements which happened from yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, you will see that that same pattern develops. Putin is putting them on hold. Now, completely right, Deepak Vora said Trump has not had foreign policy successes. He desperately needs one. He expected 2 yesterday, he got 1. But the Chinese are still in the play. The situation on the ceasefire front will much depend on the position of China. And the front with Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, in my view, is not a Pakistan front, it is a China front. We need to now, as a country, start looking upon the LOC and the international border as a China-controlled front and not a Pakistan front. Therefore, the peace is very fragile. I do not know. I was also told there could have been a big announcement. I do not know whether there will be a big statement. There are some speculation. We may have a statement at the highest level in India. I'm not aware. We are watching very closely. We are told that could be 11 o'clock press conference that could happen. 11 o'clock press conference that could happen today. And we'll see where things develop from here. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the accurate account of what has happened. While putting out this account, let me say that there are aspects of this account that I cannot put out in the interest of national security and national interest and diplomacy, which is for the Ministry of External Affairs, the National Security Advisor's office to manage. But it's a very, 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 very fragile situation that we are now in, both diplomatically as well as strategically and in terms of defense terms.